Generally, AngularJS is a framework, and the second one is single page application. More fast compared to other technologies or other frameworks. The framework like a combination of HTML plus CSS plus jQuery. And the main goal is that front-end technologies or frameworks to achieve, like using HTML and CSS, we can design the pages, and using jQuery, we can implement validations, or we can call APIs or services to get the data, submit the data to the server, right? Same thing here also, we can achieve same thing, but in different way. For example, in jQuery, if you want to get the value from one text field, we have syntax like dollar, right? Some hash, name, dot, val. This syntax will provide us, right? It provides value, which is inside it, right? The same thing, if I want to set the value for this text field, just use the same syntax with here. Here we need to pass some data. Set value. Here you can say get value. Means if you want to set the value, you need one syntax. If you want to get the value, need some like another syntax, right? Here we are using two syntaxes to set the value or get the value. In AngularJS, we have only one way. This is called, like, this concept called one-way binding. One-way binding means HTML cannot bind the data to something like for variable or something, right? From jQuery only we can get the value and set the value. But in AngularJS, the possibility is two-way binding. Two-way binding means when I want the value, I can call from the controller or jQuery. Just think it's a jQuery. Okay, from scripting, you can call for getting value. Just use one variable, just name. It will provide us the name. Or originally, the syntax is scope.name. This will use it to get the value. But another thing is, when we are typing the data in text field, the data automatically binds to the name. When I typing something, it will automatically binds the data to this name. But here, it won't bind directly. We need to call this syntax to get the value. Or set the value, we need to use this syntax. Instead of this, they provided directly one attribute called model. This attribute will take care to set the value directly from HTML. Means there is no syntax to set value in AngularJS. If you want forcefully set, we can set, but the feature is it will automatically binds the data to the variable or specified name. Now, generally AngularJS is started in 2009, and now currently it is maintained by the Google. AngularJS is a powerful JavaScript-based development framework to create rich internet applications. Yeah, it's purely client-side application. And AngularJS is these core features we are going to discuss in AngularJS: data binding, scope, controller, services, filters, directives, templates, routing, model, view, deep linking, dependency injection. These are main concepts in AngularJS. Will cover all these concepts. These are the concepts. We'll discuss individually. Generally, the single page application means this one. The meaning of this single page application means in AngularJS, generally from last 3 days you are creating template in Bootstrap, right? When you are creating, right, for each, for example, for home, for taken something like home.html. For about us, we'll take about us .html. For login, we'll take login.html, right? We have 100 pages. You need to create 100 HTML files with HTML tag and head tag and body tag, right? But in AngularJS, we'll be having index.html as main page. Only this index.html will hold like HTML, head tag and body tag. Other views like about us, login page, all these will be like partial views. Partial views means which HTML page or file does not have HTML, body and head tag inside it. Got it? Right? Partial view means which HTML file does not have HTML body head tag inside it. Means we'll write directly the component or the sub page in that views, inside views. This is master page for all the pages. That's what it's calling as single page application. Single page application, generally somebody thinks like single page application means we need to have only one single file that should contains all the pages. Just using hide and show concept, we can hide and show. But that is not original concept. That is, the main thing is in AngularJS, we'll be having only one master page. That master page contains HTML head and body tags. Inside that, based on the linking, based on links, if I click on about us, just I load the partial view, about us partial view inside the main index. I'll show you example. The same thing, for jQuery, we need to download jQuery, right? The same thing here for AngularJS also, we need to download AngularJS JavaScript file to use the features of AngularJS. Here we have small example for AngularJS. Let's see how it works. So, one thing remember, we cannot open AngularJS application or AngularJS file in Chrome until unless when we deploy in the server. It's not,
Sir,
yeah.
in the code after the script, we have to give source, the space, src, script src.
Yes, okay.
Maybe that was the fault.
Register, right? That's an issue. Copy said this is the issue. That's it. Yes. Here, first step is to we need to make sure that we need to add AngularJS script file to our application. Second step is that need to declare ng app attribute for our HTML page, master page. By this, like the Angular knows this is an app, AngularJS application. By this ng app, we can also recognize this is an AngularJS application. And controller, it's like a MVC pattern in AngularJS will follow. Like this is a view, and every view contains separate controller. And here the main concept, another concept is When we are navigating one page to another page, we'll see like loading the page, right? When we click on the link, that will load another page. It will take like a browser will be refreshed. In AngularJS, that concept like we are completely avoiding that page refresh. Just we can see like flashing kind of thing. Just when I click on the link, just it will flash like anything. Here, this is a binding. Like previously in any other technologies, we don't have directly the binding in HTML, but in AngularJS we have this binding. Yeah. This syntax is used to register our application as AngularJS application. This is a syntax Angular.module is a predefined function which will take two parameters. One is the ng app name and second one like this will take the inner components like in next classes we can see what we can pass there and how they will be used. And here we are going to define the controller. This is name of controller. Here we declare, right, the controller. The scope will contain these div elements. Inside this div, if I declare one form, the form controls and all will be inside this scope. In JavaScript, we have seen like document.getElementById, by ID, right? Generally, the document will contains all the elements in the web page. Same thing here. This scope will contains the controller scope. Controller scope means we can declare 10 controllers also. There is no restriction. We should have only controller for single page. For example, in LinkedIn or Facebook, we can see some sections is navigating without refresh, without depending on other pages. Or ads will be flash in something, one small box. Means that specific box will contain separate controller. Maybe each page can have more than one controller. There is no restriction. We should have only controller for page. And here scope dot hello 2. This will be confused, right? I can't use this. Just will have right here. I declare one title. I have taken one title for binding. This will indicate it is expecting dynamic value from controller. Simple. The curly braces, two curly braces means it is expecting some dynamic value from controller, right? How can I access this title? Using scope, right? Because the scope is holding the components which are inside this div where we specify. But for this title, I'm assigning the value AngularJS. Right? That's what I'm seeing here. Welcome AngularJS. Just for confirmation. Now, here I want to discuss another thing that like Chrome and Mozilla. In Chrome, when we implement Angular routing, we will, we cannot see the output in Chrome because Chrome will not support crash browsing. Crash browsing means in localhost, because if I am opening this file from my local system, my file system, right, browser will think it is a local, right, local host. From local, I'm opening that file. It will treat like local URL. For local URLs, for security purpose, Chrome will not allow us to open the crash browsing. Crash browsing means the routing concept. Routing means, for example, if I have 10 pages, for each page will contains one URL, right? For example, recently we did templates. If I have 10 pages and if we have 10 HTML files, for each HTML page, we can see separate link like index.html, about.html, login.html in the browser on the URL. The folder may be same, but inside that the name of the file will be different and that related page will be loaded. But in AngularJS, the pattern will be like this. Index will not be changed. If it is home, just home. If it is about us, and if it is login. The URL pattern will be like this, right? For this, we'll use Angular routing is another concept, okay, where we can navigate inner pages using this URL. This will not be supported by the Google Chrome until and unless when we deploy into this server. If I deploy into the server, that will be accessed anywhere, means in all the browsers. But if I want to run from the local system, this Chrome browser will not support because of security. If I deploy in the server, then we can access. And Mozilla will support local as well as server. Anyway, server, when we deploy into server, that will be accessed by all the browsers. But when we implement routing and opening from the local, then we can execute from Mozilla. And another thing now, just I am declaring, just we discussed, right? 2 controllers, we can declare 2 or more controllers, right? I am declaring 3 controllers. Hello, something. I declared same controllers here also. I am defining each controller. Now, these 3 I'm taking on the same page. I'm taking 3 same name variables for binding, right? Here you can see one controller 1, controller 2, controller 3. I'll show you something. Change. Right? You can see different names. Controller 1, controller 2, controller 3. Same thing, we can have more than one controllers based on requirement. That's it. Right? The first step is, these are the main steps in AngularJS. First step is to add AngularJS script file. Second step is to declare ng app attribute, and third step, declare ng controller. And fourth step is to register app with Angular. For that we have Angular dot module, right? Module function. And fifth one is define controllers these steps we need to follow when we are working with AngularJS. These are stamp. We should remember all these things when we are going to create AngularJS application or AngularJS file, right? First one, add this file. And second point is declare ng app attribute. Here I declared ng app attribute. And third step is declare ng controller. I declared controller. Fourth one is register app with Angular. Using Angular.module, I registered. And define controllers. Right here I am defining the controllers. Whatever we require, we can write inside this. Here you can observe one thing, like to set the value, just I am using scope.title, right? Now we'll see another example, two-way binding example. I'm removing these two, just type text ng model title. That's it. I'm not declaring anything from controller. I have removed this. And another thing is, if I declare ng controller here, if you don't declare here, it will give us error. if you want, if you declare here, you should define here. That's the concept. If you declare ng app here, we need to declare here. Without that, we'll get lot of errors. Now see what happens. I haven't written anything to append the data to this title, right? Here in script also I don't have anything. Let's see. You're able to see, right? What I am typing inside the text field, automatically it is appending to the title, right? Here I haven't written any single piece of code, right? For example, if I want to write same thing in jQuery, right? First, we need to take the input name, right? Input something title or name. The change listener for that first. In jQuery, I'm talking. Just inside this, I need to take that title one. For that, I need to have another ID, title one something, that text of that mean to write these 3 lines to achieve like the same functionality in jQuery. But in AngularJS, because of the two-way binding, when I type in the text input, it is automatically binding to the variable, right? The sync between these two is ng model, right? ng model is like ID for each controller, right? In jQuery, we have seen for validations, we used ID or class for validations, right? Unique ID. Same thing in AngularJS, we should have unique ng model. Okay, this is like a default attribute in AngularJS. We can say technically it's a directive. As per AngularJS, it's a ng model is a directive. It is a custom attribute introduced by AngularJS, right? If I declare this ng model, the data automatically, here I written one point regarding that. When we are typing the data in text field, the data automatically binds to the name. Means the data here automatically binding to this title value, right? This title, that's what here we can say it's a two-way binding. Means if I want to add the value, if I want to add the value, just we need to use an ng model for that input, that will be reflected automatically. Clear, right? Any doubts?
No, sir. Sir, you said to me it's like a single page application. It's view, right? So suppose it's about page, it's not saved as about.html, right?
Yeah, we will save about.html, but that will not contains the HTML these tags. This structure will not be there.
Okay.
Just will use the div
Okay.
with controller. That's it.
Okay, but controller is mandatory for that, right?
Yeah, controller is mandatory, and also for that we need to first we need to declare the routing, AngularJS routing.
Okay.
In the routing, like for example, if I want to go to about us page,
Mm.
just will declare, will point like the if the URL is this, just go to this page, some HTML page,
Mm.
and will declare one controller for that.
Okay.
That's it. Next classes, I'll explain these concepts. Right? I'll show
Okay.
you how it will be declared in real time.
Okay, sir.
And for example, now I'll show. This is one real-time example. It's not example, it's real-time project. Here, sorry, not here. Here you can see app and routing, right? This is routing. If it is dashboard, then we'll redirect to dashboard.html and we'll declare one controller for this. Clear, right? By this. Just based on URL that will be redirected to this HTML file. I'll open one HTML file, view. This index will contains total HTML body tag and all the JavaScript links and CSS links. But if I go to inside views and the dashboard, here, right? It is a subsection. It's not section. Section is also a attribute like tag. Here you don't have any HTML, body, header, JavaScript files, CSS files, and all right here. That's what we are calling it as partial view. No opening, no closing. Just will have the div only without HTML tags. Right? That will be maintained here. And the related controller, here we won't declare inside this partial view. In the routing will declare for this, it will be in controllers. Right here I declare two controllers. One is main and dashboard controller. This dashboard controller is matching with this. Right? That is original architecture. I'll explain in next classes how to create these and how we need to maintain the architecture. Clear, right, till here? Here we discussed about ng app model. Ng bind means this binding we have, right? If you need in between something we need to bind, just you can use this curly braces, or if you want to bind to separate tag like p tag directly, you can use ng-bind is a directive. It will be bind to this also. You can see two places now it will be bind. Issue.
The spelling is wrong, sir. Bind. B-I-N-D.
Spelling will baga chestavu. Thanks.
అవి మాత్రమే అర్థమవుతున్నాయి సార్. అర్థమవుతలే.
Right, now you can see, right? One thing is that if you want to use in between something like here I'm having some paragraph inside that, I want one word like dynamic, then we can use this curly braces, or else we can use directly ng-bind here. Right, ng-bind use it to bind the value, dynamic value to the tag, one specific tag. Clear? Yeah. Today I want to stop here.